Welcome to Never Too Serious with Scott and Dave. I'm Scott.
And I'm Dave.
And this is a special Never Too Serious edition.
Yep.
Because we are at the Brothers Campout. And Dave, you want to introduce the boys here?
Sure. Well, first of all, we'll start over here with this young man over here. This is Ethan, also known as Producer E. He gets to be on this side of the cameras and to be involved in some conversation today. And next to it would be his grandpa, your father, Terry.
Oh, no.
We've had his presence here before.
Him?
And then we all know myself and Scott, of course, but now we have Tony. Now, we've tried to have Tony on the show before, but it's kind of fallen through, so I think this is our first time with him on.
Welcome to the show, Tony.
Thank you.
And he's been a big supporter of our show.
He has.
And at the end over here is Uncle Mark. That would be Scott and Tony's uncle.
Huh.
This guy over here is brother.
Yeah, so
it's a big Halley family.
And there's two guys that are missing, Uncle Tom, Uncle Mike, and unfortunately they didn't make it here this year.
That's a shame.
It is a shame. But at least we have, the six of us, and so far we're on a couple of days here camping and having a good time.
That's right.
I kind of wish that we had the mics going for a lot of the campfire talk because, well, it's not really PG, so maybe it's good.
Yeah.
I'd have to bleep out all that stuff in editing.
Yeah, there would be more bleep than actual words.
Uh-huh.
Perhaps. Maybe not. Yeah.
And then all the visuals. Thank you, Uncle Mark.
You're welcome. Dad has always taught us everything there is to know about sports. And we've always been competitive as siblings, always trying to best each other, and even into our 40s now. I mean, when I used to beat your ass when you were younger, now karma's a bitch.
Yeah.
And you beat my ass in everything. I mean, shit, we come up here to camping, and he's like, okay, today we're going to play Frisbee golf. Okay. 1 for Scott, 0 for Tony. Okay, we're going to play horseshoes. Yep. 2 for Scott, 0 for Tony. We're going to play golf. 3 for Scott, 0 for Tony. Oh, we're going to play tennis. Oh, we're going to play basketball. I didn't win a single damn thing that whole week.
Well, we're going to try drinking games later.
Okay, well, I think I can win at that one.
You're done. You might as well just crawl under the table.
But we have been a very athletic family from the get-go.
Yeah.
And, Dad had mentioned, like, the Yankees. This goes back generational. And people will ask me, they're like, oh, Yankees. And I say, hey, I'm sorry. I was born this way. I literally came out of my mother with a Yankees hat and a glove.
Yankees!
I mean, so...
Who the hell don't like the Yankees?
Those Red Sox fans.
The Red Sox fans.
Oh.
So we have been a very competitive family to the point where we were playing ice hockey on our back deck. We had this deck that we ice over every winter. And Dad, he always had, like, real hockey sticks. I mean, they weren't the crap kind.
Yeah.
Okay, they were real, genuine hockey sticks.
No, this plastic business.
No plastic stuff. And real pucks.
Yeah.
And Scott used to love to screw with Rob. And he would get up towards Rob and he'd slap him in the ankles.
No, I was pretty good with a hockey stick.
Yeah, you were. You were very good with it. But Rob kind of outdid you on this one. And Rob had a temper, and he'd let you only go so far. And you'd keep, like, messing with him, slapping him in the ankles.
Keep poking the bear.
And so Rob finally had it, and Mom and Dad weren't home. And he decided in his rage that he was going to take that professional hockey stick and break it over your freaking head. And he did.
Well, so
And
there was a little bit added to that. One is he didn't actually hit me in the head with the stick while it wasn't like a hatchet job, right? What he did is I I was hitting the puck, and we had a rule that we couldn't high stick, and I was hitting the puck and hitting him in the shins constantly. And he got so pissed, and he's yelling at me and told me to knock it off. And of course, I had to do it one more time. And he
That's right,
So-
you do. You have to.
so he threw his stick at me, and that stick.
I think he still had his hand on it as he was
No,
throwing it.
I was backing up by that time. He threw the stick. It flew over my head. I dropped my stick and I took off. And I ran off the deck.
Good move.
And he picked up my stick.
Oh, that's right.
And then he threw my stick at me, and that's the one that caught me in the head.
Yeah.
And fortunately, Tony was home to take care of the massive wound on my head.
Oh, he split open his freaking head, and Scott had this beautiful blonde hair, and I'm in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, all the times that I've gotten hurt, what does Mom do?
Smacks him where it hurts, for starters.
So
Why'd you do that?
Scott's bleeding profusely everywhere, and I grab a towel, wrap his head up, tell him to get in the shower, and as any good brother would do, I pull out the hydrogen peroxide.
Yep, good call.
Yeah, because you got to keep that wound clean.
Yep.
Right.
Looking out for his best interests.
Yeah, exactly. And so now I remember my mom like using cotton swabs and putting the hydrogen peroxide on there,
Oh, I don't
and
do
then
that.
just like kind of dabbing it or whatever. I figure, well, more is better, right?
Sure is.
Yeah,
Every time.
So I decided to take the whole bottle and pour it over his head.
Yeah.
He screamed like a little girl.
Oh man, I remember that. It stung so bad. And the worst thing is I kind of thought I was dying. I was losing so much blood out of my head. And all I could see, even like washing my head, and I think it was under the sink or maybe the shower or something, but it was just red. It was just red dripping from my head. And then the hydrogen peroxide, it stung so bad, and it just kept, it like foamed up red as it was coming out of my head. And I'm looking
It
at the
was
bottom of
working.
the sink, and it's like red foam everywhere, and my head is on fire. It was
So what was Robbie doing? Was he like, yeah,
I showed you,
son
Yeah.
of a bitch.
he wasn't like, oh man, I'm so sorry, brother. Hell no.
No, and Rob never.
He's like, where's the hell is the
apologized
other
for
piece of that? I want to use it.
anything. Rob never apologized for anything, but and I really don't remember what Mom and Dad's reaction was when they got home.
I remember them taking me to the doctor, and
Well, yeah, they had to.
Let's hide this.
but they took me to the doctor, and they said that I didn't need stitches. They said, yeah, all that hydrogen peroxide took care of it.
See,
Saved your
Sealed it
life.
right
there we
up.
go. Score one for the older brother.
Yeah, I think they put like one of those the butterfly band-aids.
It was more than one. I
Yeah,
guarantee that.
Yeah, they put it on my head, and that was good enough. But yeah, that was an experience. I didn't play hockey with Rob a whole lot after that.
No.
At least I think we were on the same team a lot more often after that.
Yeah, but and that's the thing, that was always our competitive side, and so tempers would flare at times, and I'm sure that's the same thing with Dad, Mark, and his brothers.
Boys will be boys.
But we learned a lot from it, and we toughened up from it, and you always seem to get the shit into the stick.
Yeah,
though.
I did often.
Bitches usually do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You guys remember way back in the day when you guys were kids? Didn't you guys have these little sibling rivalries too?
Well, actually it wasn't Mark. See, Tom was
Mark
2
was
years.
with the ladies.
Yeah, Tom was 2 years older than me. I was a year and a half older than Mike, and Mike was about 2 years older than Mark. So Mark was a child, a baby, more or less. So I had to play most of my games with Mike, and Mike was terribly frustrating to me because he was, one, stubborn, and two, he thought he could do everything as well as me, and I knew he couldn't. And so I was set out to prove it. And so I I'd be jumping from the hayloft onto the hay, and he'd jump down, he'd fall on the floor and hurt himself, and different things that he would attempt to do. I went slide down a slide at school, a side saddle down one side, and Mike would attempt to do that, and he'd fall from the high up on the slide and hurt himself. We'd be swinging at the school, and I'd be swinging to jump out, and Mike, he'd get tangled up and he'd fall flat on. So it was a lot of that stuff with Mike and me. Mark, he was more or less out of it. So, and Tom was kind of out of it because he wasn't really into that kind of stuff. I'd say, "Come on, Mike, let's play a game. It's gonna be fun." Ow! He'd get hurt. One way or another.
As I got older, we played softball together and things like that. But I was more mechanically inclined as a kid, and I would take things apart and put them back together. Well, one time I took Terry's bike apart, and I didn't know how to put it back together. Never did put it back together. He's still sore about it.
Did you from being the younger of the four brothers, did you see the sibling rivalry with Mike and my dad a lot, or are you just not interested in their little spats?
No, I saw them compete all the time. And Mike was pretty good at a lot of things, but Terry was the kind of person that sports in particular seemed to come easy to him, and he was just really gifted that way. Mike was good in basketball. He was good at several things. But the rivalry between him and Terry was fierce.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's cool to be sitting at the same table with you guys and doing the little reminiscing, during the Campout and hearing about your guys' old stories together, and
We got a lot of them.
the funny stuff that you guys should have gotten in trouble for, but never did. And of course, then
That's how good we are.
well, then the look on Dad's face when he hears the story for the first time.
Or actually, one of the worst times was so my dad was going over to his girlfriend's house, and we're like, sweet, we got the house to ourselves. And anyways, I think I just started dating Patty at the time, and Dave was at the house and had some people over
Getting prepared.
We're getting prepared, and we got beer on the table.
A lot.
Perfect, just a bunch of beer. And anyway, I get done picking up Patty, pull into the parking area, and Dave comes running outside, and he's like, "Do you realize who's here?"
Yeah.
And I'm
like, did you park next to your dad's car and didn't notice it or something? Like, well, what's up? I can't remember if it was right next, but you were there.
And I'm like, "No, who? What?" And he's like, "Your dad's here." And I was like, "Oh, son of a bitch." And so I go in there, and my dad, classic dad, at nighttime, he needs his bowl of ice cream and he needs to read his paper. Well, all the beer was on the table.
Yes, it was.
So he basically made a half igloo out of the beer, spread it out, put his paper down.
So he has just enough room to have his space.
Have his ice cream. And I walk in and I'm like, "Hey, Dad." And he's just staring at his paper and he's eating his ice cream. And he's like, "Hey." Doesn't say a freaking word. Now I'm even more worried.
I know.
And I said, "I imagine you're probably wondering what's going on here." And he's like, "Mm-hmm." And I was like, "You know what? This was just a stop, and we're actually going over to Rodney's
Yeah,
house.
we're just meeting here."
We're just meeting here." And I said, "Why are you home?" And he said, because Suzanne was bothering me. And I said, well, why was she bothering you? And he says that because all she could complain about that night was that she was afraid that her son was out drinking. And he comes home to this.
Yeah, I know. I'm not kidding. I felt so bad because we were all hanging out waiting for Tony to get back with Patty, and we're in his living room watching TV, and I'm sitting down watching TV, and then Terry walks in. I'm like, hey, Terry. Shit. Hey, Terry. I'm like, oh, no. Why am I here? Where's Tony? I'm going to get murdered by his dad. I need backup. But yeah, I felt so bad.
Scott, weren't you there?
I was there, and I was so excited to have a party at my house. And then you guys backed up all that stuff, and there were some cute girls there. I was, I want to say I was either 8th or 9th grade at the time. And I think I was probably a freshman.
I think you were a freshman.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to have like a high school party with booze and girls
and boobs.
And I knew what to expect. And then my dad had to show up, and
Cock blocker.
yeah, it was such a disappointment because I knew that was going to be just a hell of a party.
Yeah, because didn't you just stay home after we took off?
Of course, you guys left
found
me
someplace
there.
else to party.
Dad, do you remember that experience?
No, I do not.
No.
Oh,
That's good.
that's good.
I guess that's good.
It was all a lie.
Yeah.
We just made that story.
Yeah, shoot, we should have asked him first. Hey, do you remember that time? Nope.
I think
Never mind then.
this was like on a TV show I think we watched.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
So there was a funny story, and Dad, I'm hoping you want to talk about it because it's one of my fondest memories.
Oh,
and there was a night that it was more like a morning that you came home. This is a house that we lived on Walters Hill.
Oh, no.
Do you recall the story?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Can you tell us that story?
Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, let's see. I set this up. I worked for the post office at the time, and in Gresham, and we lived in this house on Walters Hill, which is a hill opposite the post office. And Scott and Tony and Dave and Rob all lived with me, and I lived in this house up there, and I had a girlfriend named Suzanne, and I would spend the night at her house and get up early in the morning and come home and get freshened up and go to work. About 6 a.m. or something. Well, one day I spent the night at Suzanne's, and she had this cat that didn't like me.
Scoot up on that mic a little bit.
Oh, she had this cat that didn't like me. And and the cat decided to make a statement. I had put my shorts, working shorts, on a chair in the corner, rocking chair.
Oh, no.
And the cat had peed all over it during the night. And I got up, and boy, was I ticked. I wasn't going to put those things
He was
on.
pissed.
Pissed on.
I wasn't going to wear those things to work. I had to go home. And so I went and grabbed those things, put it under my arm, ran out to the car and got in my car and drove off.
In his tidy whities.
In my tidy whities, yes. And I get home to the house there in Walters Hill, and I get out, and I'm going to the front door. I'm going to go in the house and change, shower, whatever. I couldn't get in the house. I told the kids not to lock the lock because there was no key for the lock. And it had a deadbolt and a regular. And and I'm sitting outside, and I'm sure people across the street could see me. And I'm trying to get in, and everybody's asleep. So I decided it's a split level house, and you had to crawl up on the garage roof and lean over and look through the window and yell at somebody. And so that's what I did. I got up on the garage roof, leaned over, tapped on the window, finally got Dave awake. Dave, huh? I said, Dave, come around, unlock the door for me. He said, okay. So he gets up, goes around, and by that time I was at the front door. I have my pants under my arm, and I march right in, and Dave's looking at me, he goes, Terry, what's happened?
The walk of shame.
Yeah. And basically, that's what happened. And I went in and got changed and went to work, and I don't remember much after that. But
And you never wanted us to lock that door ever again.
No.
I think we did every time you left.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I gotta tell you guys, I try to not talk too much because I really wanted to hear you guys and let you guys speak because I wanted other people to hear you guys. But I want to thank you guys, Tony for starters, for being a friend and to invite me to know these guys 30 plus years later. And I appreciate you guys inviting me and sharing your lives with me. It's been great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other stories to share before we close out the show?
Wait, what are we? We're closing out the show?
It's up to you. You got stories to tell. We'll stick it.
I got all kinds of
Oh,
stories.
jeez. Sure, we got time. Right? Producer E? What's your clock say?
He hasn't even been
Yeah,
timing it.
yeah, he's been on his phone like usual.
What do you mean?
All right, well, thanks again for hanging out with us, guys, and of course inviting us to the Brothers Campout.
Yep.
We love being
Absolutely.
here, and it's nice to see my dad didn't
Is
fall
enjoying
asleep.
it just as much.
Yeah, big ol' yawn. We'll get you to bed here, Dad. But again, thanks, Mark. Thanks for coming out and doing the show with us. Thanks for inviting us to the Brothers Campout.
Yep.
Dad,
Absolutely.
same for you. We've really enjoyed having you here. Hopefully, there will be many more years ahead of us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Definitely.
And producer E, the elusive producer E, it's nice to see you behind the microphone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You did about just as much work.
Yeah.
No,
Still
we
didn't
love
get
you,
paid
E.
for it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Thanks again for listening to the show. If you don't mind, hit that subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. If you're just listening to the podcast, tell a friend. We'd love to grow the audience a little bit more. You can always reach out to us on anchor.fm. Leave us a voicemail there. Also, mailbag at nevertooserious.com. That's a great way to reach out. And until we see you next time, take care.
And be safe.